And then there are some items that we need to rotate and kind of keep an eye on. You know, here in our homestead, we end up eating a lot of stuff before we even rotate it. But there's also a lot of items that require some really good storage. And it doesn't make any difference if you have a pantry that is in a cool, dark location like this one. It's built up against the earth here, so it's very cool. It's on a slab. Even when it's 100 degrees out there, it's cool in here. We've got no windows, so this is a perfect pantry environment. Very dry, no moisture issues. But still, we have to pay attention to how we store our bulk items, like our rice and our beans, and our rolled oats, and our barley, and our nuts. We just can't put them on the shelf and call it good. So we're going to talk about storing those items, and it doesn't make any difference if you're coming from a little urban pantry, or if you've got a little prepper pantry, or a big pepper pantry, say that 10 times, or a farmstead pantry. You got to pay attention to storage, because if you get this one wrong, that insurance policy will expire. It will. So let's take a look and we'll talk about it. Okay, friends, let's talk about food grade containers. As you see in our pantry, that's what we use for long-term and short-term food storage. Why the food grade containers? Because they're food grade. You can't just store your food in a Home Depot orange bucket. No, you can't. You gotta have a food grade container. Now, food grade containers are not hard to find. You can go to your local grocery store, go to the bakery, and say, you know what, I'm looking for some food grade containers, and I'll guarantee you'll find some there. Usually they'll sell them for $1.50, $2. You can also go to a container company. Container companies sell food grade containers. Just do a little research. They're not hard to find. But you have to have these type of containers to store your long or short term food items. And you can see we've got anything from long grain brown rice in here. We got our oatmeals. I got whole wheat flour in here. They come in two different sizes. I actually prefer the smaller food grade containers as opposed to the bigger ones. The bigger ones for me, once they get filled up, like that one had hard wheat in it, it's heavy. Mr. Hilder can lift it, but not so much me. So I like the smaller ones for ease of use. But you can see we have both sizes here on the Homestead. And the great thing about it is they seal. This is why you have to have a food grade container, because they've got a rubber gasket and it seals your food. So it's not just about trying to be rodent resistant. It really is about storing them in a real sealed container that is not. And another point, why are food grade containers so special? Well, they're special because of their lid. If you look at real closely here, you'll see a rubber gasket. Look at that, a rubber gasket. See? That seals in that precious commodity, your food. And if you're looking to do more of a long-term food storage with your item, and when I'm talking long-term food storage, I'm talking like 5 to 10 years, throw in some oxygen absorbers into that food grade bucket. Can't go wrong. Now, oh, and we're talking about, okay, so we mentioned oxygen absorbers, and what comes to mind when you think of oxygen absorbers? Well, if you don't already know this, Mylar bags. Mylar bags. I remember looking for Mylar bags when we first started our pantry, and I thought, man, these are kind of space agey. But they're really pretty neat for long-term food storage. Now, when I talk about long-term food storage, again, I'm talking about storing your food in a sealed Mylar bag that is going to be for 5 to 10 years. So don't spend your money if you're going to be digging into your food after a year. It's not worth it to buy the Mylar bags. Just buy some food grade containers. But if you really think you have items that you're going to be storing for 5 to 10 years, get the Mylar bags. And the nice thing about those is you can just fill them up, you suck out the air, and then you can seal them. You can seal them. We used our own iron and we sealed them up, and there you go. And here we have, look at instant potatoes from 2011. 2011. And there's some oxygen absorbers in there, and these will last till I die, which is going to be a long time from here. But I also want you to remember one thing about Mylar bags. Here's a bag that we opened. Oh, and it's kind of losing its filling. But we opened it. Why? Because it wasn't supposed to be open. This was back in 2011. It's supposed to last us till I die, right? Well, the mice got into the Mylar bags. Mylar bags are not rodent resistant. So think about that when you are preparing your pantry and you're trying to figure out what foods to put in there and for how long and where you're going to store them in your pantry. If you have any type of rodent problems, not even one mouse can play havoc on a Mylar bag. So these you can actually put into your Home Depot orange plastic buckets. Yeah, you just put them in there, or you can put them in a big tote. Plastic tote. We have a couple plastic totes here in our pantry, and that will kind of give you a double wall of protection. Because sometimes if a rodent wants to get in, if they really want to chew through stuff like chickmunks, they'll chew through plastic. They really will. And then, so then what do? Then you lose all your food. But this is where the next food storage container comes into play, and that is the steel drum. Nothing takes the place of the steel drum. And we have these not only inside our pantry, but we also have them outside. So we can store, as you saw, our rice, our beans, you name it, in the steel drum. And there ain't no chickmunk or mouse that's going to be chewing through the drum. It is 100% safe. Now, the thing with all of these items, it doesn't make any difference if they are your food grade containers, they are your steel drums, or they are your Mylar bags. Please remember, they still need to be in a controlled environment. And when I say controlled, I mean a controlled environment like this pantry. This pantry is cool. This pantry does not get hot. This pantry does not have any windows. Cool and dark. Cool and dark. If you don't remember anything, remember cool and dark. A lot of people have asked me, Starry, can I store my steel drum with my rice and my beans out in my garage? Well, you can if it doesn't get 100 degrees in the summertime. So be practical about where you put it. When we talk about pantry, you really should have visions of someplace that's cool and dark. If you don't, the best next thing is going to be somewhere inside your house. Be it a pantry, room. We actually took our room and back in Wisconsin, and we didn't have a basement. We didn't have like we have here, a pantry that was built into the earth. We took half of our bedroom and made it into our pantry. It was a controlled environment because it didn't get too hot and it didn't get too cold. So think about those things too. It's not just the storage, but you got to have the right climate.